it's interesting, one of your previous speakers was Paul Singerman, who I know very well, highly respect. And he and I are a little similar, both very focused, very driven people. And the more focused, more driven you are, kind of the more you need this. So you see a pattern or a problem, you're stuck in traffic, or what I do, I'm a litigator, so I get an email or a letter that I know is wrong and it provokes a certain reaction. And what I've learned to do now, and this I have actually got pretty skillful at, is not react in the moment to that, is to read it, and then, I think this is the most important thing, make a choice. Extend that beat of time between the stimulus and the reaction. The reaction could be firing back an email, the reaction could be to do nothing for a few hours, the reaction could be to call the person up on the phone. I mean, there's many, many reactions you could choose, but there's nothing that says you have to react instantaneously, but so many people do. So for me, mindfulness helps me extend that little moment so that I can make a choice as opposed to a gut reaction or a knee-jerk reaction, which may not be what I really want to do.
So Miles raised something interesting a little while ago. He talked about how, don't take this personally, he's a young associate in a firm, and the phone rings, and it's like, oh, it's like boss, right? And the sort of like the, what's this going to be, right? And a little bit of the sense of stuff that may come up. But then that's like the story, right? But that's sort of, he's saying, but that's the story, that's sort of the culture, that's the way one goes into saying, oh, and one can have a very different relationship with the people we work with at all levels of the ways that we work. So what we began to explore was, well, what do we do when we realize that we are engaged in a story? Like it's the pen, Frank, it's this, oh, the phone's ringing, it's the person is giving me an assignment, and what does that mean?
Let's stay with that. First of all, I plead guilty. I'm one of those senior partners that sends out those assignments, and probably people react with that reaction. So guilty as charged. And I used to be, a young little newbie with hair that used to get those assignments.
Their relationship.
Yeah. It could be positive. So, I think what you want to do when you get that reaction, in addition to taking a little space of time, if you really get good at this, is think through it. Why am I having this reaction? Is this reaction appropriate? What's really behind it? Is it that I'm afraid of authority? Is it afraid of a parent figure? Is it afraid of disappointment? And then I think the key is this a realistic fear? Is this a realistic fear? Is a senior partner really going to come down on me? Do I really have a little bit of time to think about this? Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I, doing this mind thing on my head? And if you do that, and I do this in a lot of different situations, because my first reaction to almost anything is to see it, this is sort of sad, but I see it as a threat, and I just want to fight it. And I know that about myself. So I will take that and say, okay, Harley, how realistic is this? Is this really a threat? Is this concern? Is this worry really, really likely to happen? Are you going to emerge penniless with a barrel over your body, starving as a result of this bad email? Give me a break, And then I just take myself back and think, okay, look, now how do you want to react to this? And, and let's put it in some kind of realistic perspective. And I would do that with a senior partner call.
And we also began to talk about, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so last week we had Paul Singerman come in, and I can't remember exactly the content of what he was talking about, but he mentioned learning the discipline of separating the time. And I think that's kind of going to what you're mentioning between the stimulus and the response, having the ability to kind of extend that period in between. And he talked about how it's a responsive deliberation. It's not the reactive knee-jerk. And I think he was talking about how that's a learned discipline, being able to do that. And that's what he talked about, that mindfulness helps them do too.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I don't know what adjective you want to use to describe it, but I used to get knee injuries all the time when I used to run. I realized I had to stretch, started stretching, no more knee injuries. It was pretty simple. cause and effect. And with this, you practice, and you can extend the time a little bit more. You practice, you can extend the time a little bit more. Just like the stretching, eventually I can touch my toes where I was too stiff to be able to do that. And you can extend that time. And there's a big,